Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
To Henry. Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis.
Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Skipper going free to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on the New England.
For being the first Week 18 ever in NFL history, it's going to already be the best Week 18 in NFL history, all right? But at the same time, I think it's going to hold that title for a long, long time because this week was one hell of a finale to the regular season. We had a bunch of really good games. We had some close games, some games that really should have been close. We had some upsets, typical of the last week of the regular season. And we had 3 games, not one, not two, actually it was three games, where they all went to overtime with playoff stakes on the line. And sweet damn, this week just did not disappoint. There was a lot of surprises. There's also a few things that we've all come to expect, or at least I have. So we'll see if you got it too once we get through things. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to our Week 18 NFL breakdown. Of course, I'm your host, Ross Allen. Been with you all season long, and it's great to still have you here, whether you've joined midseason, whether you're here preseason, or whether you were here last season. I don't care. It's great to have you here, and you guys are just the best people in the world. But of course, we're going to take a look at one guy that made a huge impression over the last few weeks. We're going to take a look at why possibly the Rams are not going to do anything in these playoffs. Maybe a coach that is under the radar. And also, we're going to have a special guest. And by special guest, I mean I hate him. But Blake is going to make a surprise appearance. So that's going to be interesting. He's a Raiders fan, so I'm sure you guys could kind of start to guess just what he might have to say. And of course, we're going to take a look at the coaching moves that have gone down so far since Black Monday. Of course, definitely one of the most interesting mornings in football is Black Monday, and there were some curious decisions that went down today. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a hell of a show. Can't wait to bring it all to you guys. But first things first, just want to shout out a couple things. Of course, you see that sexy hat behind me if you're watching on the video, which of course you can find on YouTube, Rumble, and also Spotify. Not just audio on Spotify anymore, baby. Our pre-orders for the trucker hats are still going strong. Still giving a little bit of time for you guys to go check that one out, as well as the rest of our fantastic apparel. You can, of course, find that at thefourthandlong.com/apparel. We dropped our MMA, or at least our UFC award show last week with Blake. A very fun one, very special one. We broke out the suits, so you know it had to be a good time. You can find that one at thefourthandlong.com/MMA. And we're going to have a bunch of stuff coming out, whether it be collabs, whether it be some, actually, and especially for this one too, we're doing 2 NFL shows this week. You get a special treat because not only am I going to take a look at Week 18, which one we're doing right now, I'm also going to be dropping another one later in the week previewing the 2022 playoffs. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And you want to know what else is going to be a lot of fun? This episode right here. But, all right, I've said before, we're a health show, right? I want to look out for you guys. So, before we get further into this and before we really get a good start, it's time for a little hydration break, all right? I don't care if you don't have water next to you. Don't pause this, because keep it playing, because I do not want to miss out on the playtime, all right? Just keep it rolling. I don't care. You can rewind if you need to. Go get yourself some water if you don't have anything next to you right now, wherever you may be. Go ahead, take a few sips, all right? All right, see? Don't you feel a lot better? Hydration is key, ladies and gentlemen, especially when we're possibly going to be dropping some hot takes tonight or today. It really just depends on whenever you're listening to. Like, that's the cool thing about, releasing record shows is that you just listen to it whenever, best convenience, or just listen to it all the time because that's all you should be doing. Thank you so much. But we're going to hop into things first here with our winners from Week 18 of the NFL season. And the first guy I have to highlight here is Rashad Penny, running back for the Seahawks, of course, because this dude might have had one of the best 3 weeks of any player in the league because he finishes off the season very, very strong. Over the last 3 games of the season, he averaged 165 yards per game. He had 170, 130, and 190 this last week in a tutter against the Cardinals. And over the last 3 weeks, he had 4 touchdowns combined. This guy is a freaking... He probably won a few of you guys some fantasy football championships, all right? I know his teammate Tyler Lockett helped lose me mine. It's all good. I'm not holding a grudge. I still made some money in second place, so it is what it is. Rashad Penny, though, obviously, especially if you want to take a look at fantasy football implications like I was just talking about, his stock is going to be going up. Or if it isn't for some reason in your league, this could be a great guy to snag because he's turned into a high and top commodity, at least the RB2. For most of the season, he's looking really solid. He'll get you points. And especially in the draft, kind of like I was saying, he might be one of those guys that maybe goes a little bit more under the radar. So, might be able to wait until later rounds to be able to go pick him up, which, of course, those late round steals are truly the best parts about fantasy football right there. My second winner of the week is going to be a guy I actually don't think I've had him as a winner for any week this season. And that's almost impressive considering the name value is, because I think for the first time this season, Tom Brady is a winner of this week because he sets a new career high in passing yards on season at the ripe age of 44. He threw for 5,316 yards to go along with his 45 touchdowns. So yet again, he has more touchdowns than his birthdays. I don't know how he's doing it. His previous career high before this season was back in 2011, actually, so about 10 seasons ago, where he threw for 5,235. And that is the only other time that he's broken the 5,000-yard mark. So, I think it's safe to say that Tom Brady had a pretty good season. I would say he's up there for top 3 in the MVP race. Right now, top 3, no order, is going to be... Sorry, Jonathan Taylor, you dropped out. Especially, we're going to have some words about the Colts, all right? It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, Cooper Kupp, and Tom Brady. Those are my top 3 right there. Of course, you can find my full list. I think I'm actually probably dropping this one on Tuesday. So you can go ahead and check that one out on our socials, whether it be on Twitter at 4th Long Radio or Instagram at 4th and Long Radio. But speaking of the Colts, oh no, let's get to the losers from this week, because I swear this Colts versus Jaguars game was one of the biggest train wrecks I've ever seen in my life. Talk about a cataclysmic collapse. Oh, that actually goes with cataclysmic collapse. That's a lot of C's. I'm impressed, but feel free to use that one, because the Colts going to Jacksonville, I think the last 5 games that they played in Jacksonville, they've lost. So why would you break a streak, a perfectly good streak? So they kept that one going. They've now lost 6 away games in Jacksonville in a row, and they lose this one 26-11. This is probably the most embarrassing loss from any team this season. It dropped them out of the playoffs as well, because the Steelers went on and won their game against the Ravens. Oh, man. Oh, this is just such an embarrassing game, because for the Colts, I think they had 7 Pro Bowlers. And for you to have 7 Pro Bowlers against the worst team in the league, they finished with the worst record. They got the number 1 overall pick. They're the worst team in the league. And I agree with the record, too. The record is very evident for what this Jaguars team produced. You have Trevor Lawrence with the best game of his career against what's supposed to be a stout defense. Jonathan Taylor gets shut down, and you want to talk about Carson Wentz? Let's talk about Carson Wentz, because one of the more important stats that people put into for quarterbacks is quarterback rating, or QBR. It goes from 0 to 100, with 50 being the average. I want you guys to just real quick, in your mind, or if you like write stuff down, go ahead and feel free to write this down. Take a guess to what Carson Wentz's QBR was. Give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. 4.4. Not 44. 4.4. It was just horrendous. I don't know how else to describe that one. And this was the first time all season where he threw a interception on the road. Of course, good things come in pairs, because he threw 2 of them and just looked horrible. And they had no run game. They couldn't stop the Jags on defense. This was just the worst game of the season at the worst time of the season, and it is quite disappointing. The only fun part about this game was watching Pat McAfee's reactions on Twitter. The only redeeming part about this game. And the second loser of the week, it's going to go to the fans of 18 teams that did not make the playoffs. For us unfortunate people, myself included, most of the other league, and most of the fans around the league, we're stuck. The season's over. It's coming past us by. And maybe your team was able to improve on last year. I know mine didn't. So, well, actually, no, they did improve. They tremendously improved on last year. But they're just as disappointing, especially when it comes to trying to come up clutch, apparently. But now it's up to the only thing we can do the rest of the season is essentially pick a team that we either hate the least or want to root for the most and hope that team wins the Super Bowl. All right. Or we hope just for a bunch of upsets. That's kind of me too. I just want, when my team's on the playoffs, I just want everything to go to hell. Like just go crazy, go stupid, and just sit back and watch the fire, because that's what's entertaining to me, at least. I'm sure there's at least a few of you guys out there that feel that same way as well. But that's going to wrap it for our winners and losers of the week. Let me know what your thoughts on this one, whether it be in the comments on YouTube, on Rumble, hit us up on our socials, Twitter or Instagram, or best of all, you can leave a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. Let us know who you think won the week and who you think lost the week. Also, drop your thoughts on just how bad the Indianapolis Colts are for just utterly crapping the bed on Sunday. But that's going to take us to our overreaction segment, which, of course, last one of the regular season along with the rest of this. So, I mean, there's really no need to specify that this is going to be the last overreaction segment of the season when it's pretty obvious. But you know, here we are. Shut up. I'm probably creating arguments with myself. So, I don't know. If someone out there want to argue, maybe just say something to your phone, say something to your TV, at your computer, however you're watching this, just so I'm not sounding like a complete lunatic. But the way this works is that I have a few statements that I've compiled, whether it be through like Twitter and Instagram, just looking all over the NFL I guess fan base universe, the NFL universe. Yes, that's the one. The metaverse. Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. Mark Zuckerberg is going to sue me now. That stupid lizard. All right. But a few of them, I'm going to determine if they are overreactions or not. Statement number 1 is that Matt Stafford will be the reason why the Rams don't make the NFC Championship game. Now, he has been great down this last stretch of games. He threw 2 more interceptions against the San Francisco 49ers in Week 18. The second one came in overtime to end the game effectively and to end and to get the Niners into the playoffs. Luckily, the Cardinals lost, so the Rams still won the division for them. But still, another loss because Matt Stafford apparently can't clutch up games, and this is now his 5th multi-interception game of the season, the third in the row. If you want to talk about Rashad Penny having a fantastic stretch of games in the last 3 weeks, it's been the opposite for Matt Stafford in that same division. Matt Stafford finishes the regular season 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and he's tied for the most interceptions in the league with Trevor Lawrence, even though Matt Stafford has less passing attempts than T-Law. By less passing attempts, I mean it's because Trevor Lawrence has 602, Matt Stafford has 601, but who's counting? It's still less, so I'm still technically right, which is the best kind of right. And it's because of this little bit of a collapse that Sean McVay, he's now 45-1 when leading at halftime. This was his first loss ever when that was the case. So crazy stuff here. And Matt Stafford has been, it's weird because he was so exciting at the beginning of the season. You know, he started off with, a 3-touchdown game, then a 2-touchdown game, then a 4-touchdown game. He only had 1 interception through the first 3 games, and then the next 3 weeks after those first 3, interception, and then it really started to turn downhill because in mid-season, back-to-back weeks with multiple interception games. And like I said, of course, he finished the last 3 weeks with 3 interceptions, 2 interceptions, and 2 interceptions. It was even worse when I still don't know how they beat the Vikings, even though Matt Stafford had 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions. That the Vikings are just that much worse for that game. Oh boy, but Matt Stafford, his play is clearly flawed, and what I didn't like in overtime is I believe he had 4 passing attempts. He targeted Odell Beckham Jr. 3 times and Cooper Kupp 1 time. It really should be the opposite, at the least. Should be 3 times to Cooper Kupp, 1 time to OBJ, even though OBJ has been doing pretty good. Give it to Cooper freaking Kupp, all right? And then another thing that you really could have done, hell, just keep giving it to Cooper Kupp 4 times. Just only target him because that man it makes plays no matter what. And Matt Stafford has success when targeting Cooper Kupp. Obviously, look at the stats that we've seen here. It's he just I think there's just something about where he just I don't know if I have confidence with him late games or important games right now. And that is obviously going to be a problem going to the playoffs because it's not like the Rams have an easy matchup. They are once again playing the Arizona Cardinals. They're having the trilogy game on the season. It's a split series right now, and that Cardinals defense, they looked good against Cowboys, but then they looked lackluster against the Seahawks. But through the air defensively through the air with their defensive backfield, they've been pretty good. They've been really solid, even against giving up a bunch of points to the Seahawks. A lot that was on the ground, over 200 yards rushing from the Seahawks. We all know that the Rams could have a decent run game, but when it comes to their pass game, that's the suspect part, and the Cardinals have been doing well through the air defensively. So their first matchup is going to be super tough. And then their next matchup could be even harder because it's just going to get even worse, man. And you have to win 2 games to make it to the NFC Championship game. And it could be a mix of a few teams here, whether it could be the Bucks, it could be the Cowboys right there. And so, obviously, 2 tough teams to play against. I don't like their chances to make it to the NFC Championship game. It's going to be tough to even make it past this week. This is not an overreaction. I do think that Matt Stafford is the reason why the Rams won't make it that far. And he right now is the biggest question mark and probably the biggest weakness of this team as well, even though that he's one of the biggest strengths. He's just too careless with the football a lot of the time, and obviously it hurt them. And it could hurt them even worse come next week, or I guess this week technically. Statement number 2 is that Dan Campbell should be coach of the year. Now, I really do like this one that I've been seeing because I think Dan Campbell deserves a lot more recognition on the season than he's probably gotten because, yeah, the Lions, sure, they only won 3 games. Obviously, that's not great. And that's 3 wins is going to keep your name out of a lot of conversations for awards, for praise, especially when it comes to a big award like Coach of the Year when you have a lot better candidates. Looking at Matt LaFleur or Zach Taylor right there. Those are probably my top 2 at this point. But 2 of the 3 wins came against the Cardinals and the Packers. And I know you're going to say, oh, yeah, it was the last week of the season, and the Packers are resting their starters. The Lions were up on the Packers after the first half, and Aaron Rodgers was playing that whole time. Their starters were playing most of this game. So the Lions, they did take advantage of the Packers team, and especially those 2 big trick plays as well. Those were awesome, and I really love everything that Dan Campbell is running with them. I think that also that they had a 4th and goal that they converted into a touchdown. And I think what the stat was, that was the 39th time they've gone for it as a team on 4th down. And I love that aggression we've been seeing from Dan Campbell. I love everything that they threw at the Packers right there. They finished the season 11-6 against the spread. I know that might be a betting stat, but I still think this is interesting and a productive stat to look at just because they've exceeded expectation 11 times this season. That's pretty good. 11 out of 17 games, you're exceeding expectations. And 6 of their losses came in 1-score games as well. 2 of those were off last-second field goals, one of them being for the NFL record. So even just 2 more wins, even though you just put this team at 5 wins on the season, it makes Dan Campbell look a lot better. If you win half of those 1-score games, so you add another 3 games, so you take a look at a 6-win team. Hell, if you just want to hypothetically call 6, that's a 9-win team right there. I know we're all speaking hypotheticals, but this is a solid team, and it's not like Dan Campbell is working with the best roster in the league. He had 1-star player in Hawkinson. That's about it, and he's totally taken the culture of this team. He's rebuilt it. It's starting to be a productive culture. Maybe Washington needs to take a look at the culture here. Obviously, we all know that they have a bit of issues when it comes to theirs. Sell the teams. Oh, boy. Yeah. And also, I mean, just on tangent, have you seen those new logo leaks for the Washington football team? Or the website that they had that I think is the website for the Commanders, that when you click on it, it takes you to the Washington football team website. It could, if it was from a respectable franchise, I think that's just them trying to throw the fans for a loop, but it's the Washington football team, so I think they just unintentionally leaked their new name and their new logos on TV. I think they're just that inept. They obviously can't even have good guardrails at their stadium or good sewage lines at their stadium. So I am not going to put a whole lot. I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's for sure right there. But and let's talk about the excitement that Dan Campbell has brought back possibly to Detroit. Because I mean, shout out to Andrew on Twitter, one of our fans that we've seen for a long time, is that he's been super excited about this team. He's a Lions fan. Haven't really seen him that excited over much in a while, especially for the Lions. And Dan Campbell came in with a hard press conference saying, we're going to bite kneecaps. And man, I freaking love Dan Campbell. You can tell that his players and his coaching staff like to work with him, like to play underneath him, like to be coached by him. He's a very personable coach. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, and I really enjoy what I've seen from him this season. He's a coach that a lot of the people would love to have. He is the best rookie head coach from this year, and he is going to do great things with the Detroit Lions. It's Detroit. Maybe not great things, but he is going to keep improving on this team year after year. I can almost promise you that one. So, he should not be Coach of the Year. That should go to Zach Taylor or Matt LaFleur. But he absolutely should be in the conversation. So I'm going to call this Steven overreaction. But I think more people need to be talking about Dan Campbell here. Now, the last statement of the week is that the Las Vegas Raiders are Super Bowl contenders. And to complete this segment and to complete this statement, we're going to bring on Blake. So you've been warned. And here he is. I should have never made this promise with him, but before I get talking too much, I promise Blake he gets 5 minutes if the Raiders make the playoffs. I have a timer right here. 5 minutes starts now. Blake, why did the Raiders win?
Well, I just wanted to come on here and just have a little chit chat with my guy, my Broncos fan. My number one Broncos fan, Ross, and just, rehash the season a little bit. Let's talk about all the adversity that the Raiders had to face and overcome. What a team. What a team. Well, let's begin. Okay. So, Gruden email scandal. Yikes. And actually, let's take it back a step before that, too. Before the season even starts, Mark Badane, I think he was the president of the Las Vegas Raiders. He resigns like a week before the season starts due to tax fraud allegations. That's what most of the people, the sources wanted to say. That's a weird thing that was going on before the season.
Well, then you had that. Then you had Gruden. Then you had Ruggs.
Gruden, the email scandal. We had Ruggs with the DUI fatal car accident, which was awful and all. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, not good.
Let's see, what do we have after that? One of our team captains, Alec Ingold, tears his ACL. We go on that 2 or 3 game losing streak after we start out 3-0. Then we win 3 games after that, and then we lose 5 out of 6 after that. COVID goes through our whole team. I mean, we lose a top cornerback. We lose all these guys. Like, guys are dropping left and right. But
so, Blake, tell me the real question I have for you is, why are the Raiders going to win the Super Bowl then?
The reason that they're going to win the Super Bowl is the fact that they've overcome so much already. I mean, what could bring them closer as a unit? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They have a bond that is impossible to break, I believe, with all of the things that they have gone through just these past, 4 or 5 months alone. It's a pleasure to watch, man, because no one saw this coming. Even I didn't. If you would have told me we were going to win the last 4 games of the season against, namely the Colts and the Chargers, I would have said you're absolutely crazy.
And the Broncos.
We're gonna sweep y'all until you get a quarterback. You're the top shelf quarterback, buddy.
I would love a top shelf quarterback. I already told you the Broncos could win a lot of games with Derek Carr.
Not against the Raiders, though.
Well, yeah, they win against Raiders because Raiders don't have Derek Carr anymore. Dummy.
We'd have someone better, dude. We'd probably draft that one. What's that guy? Hackett coming out?
No. The pick quarterback. He's a little overrated.
I like him.
Why? Because of fake slide?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He changed the game.
Change the game by getting another rule made.
Dude, he changed the game. What did the Raiders do back in the day? Change the game. He looks like he's one of us already.
Well, you mean like getting a rule change made for them with Tuck rule?
Well, that's Tuck rule. I'm talking more like holy roller status.
Ooh.
Okay. Where you cheated and got a dub, and then they changed the rules after. I'm okay with that. The Tuck rule, that broke my heart. I'm not okay with that. I want
is that still hurting you to this day?
Absolutely, man. I mean, but let's keep in mind, bro, I'm born in 1994, so I was 8 years old maybe when that happened. Probably 7 years old when that happened, because I think I turned 8 in 02.
What was the first heartbreak I had as an 8-year-old?
I just wasn't. I wasn't all there yet, So I don't think I really
the Broncos
remember it.
sucked when I was 8. Ugh. The AFC West sucked when I was 8. Remember 2008, that whole 2008 to 2010 era? The whole AFC West was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, we went 8-8 2 seasons, and that was like a godsend for us.
Well, the Broncos in 2011 made the playoffs at 8-8 and won the division at 8-8.
Yeah, dude, that season was despicable. I think that was the season we traded for Carson Palmer. That was so embarrassing.
How are you going to trade for Carson Palmer?
Ask freaking what's his name, Hugh Jackson. He traded like 2 or 3 first-round picks.
Hugh Jackson is one of the dumbest GMs I've ever had the pleasure of watching in my life.
Yeah, he was something else, man. That's why he got fired within a season.
You know, that was one of the Raiders were used to firing people within a season, with going through like 10 head coaches in 10 years.
Be a revolving door. There's like Lane Kiffin to Hugh Jackson, or Tom Cable to Hugh Jackson to Dennis Allen.
Tom Cable. Oh.
Yeah. And then we had Tony Sperano, RIP, for an interim coach. We had Del Rio. We had Gruden. Now we have Bisaccia. It's just
you remember when he signed John? Remember when he signed John Grant to 10 years, $100 million? And
I was pumped.
I laughed at that contract, and I still am, because I was right.
I mean, I guess whatever makes you feel better, brother. But
hey, cool thing. 5 minutes is up. So Blake, let me leave with this. Just one final statement.
You took over my 5 minutes. That wasn't even 5 minutes. I got like maybe 3 minutes and a half at the most.
That was 5 minutes. The timer's up.
You're just a jealous little Broncos fan.
I am a little jealous little Broncos fan. Shut up. Tell me what you want from the Raiders for the playoffs. Tell me what you want.
I want at least one dub. It's not a success if we don't get one W. We got to beat the Bengals. We match up decently well. I'm not saying I expect to win by any
That's a good game
margin, but it's gonna be a great game, man. I'm excited. It's the first one that gets the playoffs started. It seems like we've been in a playoff game the past 4 weeks already, so I'm just ready to knock them down again.
All I'm saying is that if the Raiders want to win this game, Max Crosby has to do Max Crosby things against Joe Burrow.
Dude, he needs to have a repeat performance of last night and maybe even a little bit better.
Force. He's a force.
You got to finish those sacks. I don't want to see anyone get into the quarterback and not bring them down this game. We got to bring Burrow down.
Hey, you hear it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Blake Campbell, you can check him out. He is a Raider fan, unfortunately. I feel bad for his mental disease. But at the same time, the place where I prefer him is over under UFC Talks. UFC Talks 73 drops later this week. Go ahead and make sure to check out our UFC awards show that dropped last week. That's everything at thefourthlong.com/MMA. Blake, thank you, but no thank you. And if the Raiders, I'm going to make another stupid promise. If the Raiders win their playoff game, I'll give you 10 minutes next week.
Oh, wow. Uninterrupted this time, though? I don't have to hear your trash Bronco takes during my spiel?
Yeah, sure.
All right, that's good with me.
Yeah, might just be best to keep him over there for our UFC talk, which, of course, releases every Wednesday or Thursday. You can go find that at thefourthlong.com/MMA. Raider fans... Oh, you guys are some annoying sons of bitches. Oh, that's for sure. But we're going to move on. Obviously, we were talking earlier this episode that Black Monday, one of the biggest days of the season when it comes to organizational progress or regression for some teams, and some teams we already saw regressing. From this one day. It's when these non-playoff teams go ahead and they fire their coaches. It happens to a lot of people every year. Head coaches, assistant coaches, everyone on down the list, or GMs in this situation as well for some select organizations. So I want to take a look at some of the bigger moves that have gone down and some of the moves that at least haven't happened yet, but definitely should. All right. Because, one of the big, of course, two of them were expected, I would say. One of them came out of freaking nowhere. So, Matt Nagy, he's finally gone. Their GM, Ryan Pace, is finally gone. And honestly, I think that the move of firing their GM was bigger than firing Nagy. Matt Nagy was a problem, but he was just one of the problems. He was a technical of the problem. It's a octopus. You got cut off at the head, and that was a Pace right there. So they're going to go through a little bit more of a full organizational rebuild, and I think that's a really positive thing for this team just because Justin Fields didn't have a great season. Yes, a lot of the mistakes were on him as a quarterback, but also you could put a lot of the blame on Matt Nagy because what evidence have we seen from him to be able to develop a quarterback? The most damning evidence that we've only seen evidence towards the opposite. Just take a look at Mitch Trubisky. He's not a good quarterback. And then, like, his first game with the Bills, he goes and scores a touchdown. really better than, I think, like completed one pass for like a couple yards and touchdown. So already off is a better start as a build than he ever was with the Bears. And organizationally, people didn't like him. It didn't look like the team responded to him well. Obviously, the fan base hated him. It was vital that they make this choice in order to at least have a chance at properly developing Justin Fields and to be able to have a fighting chance to make him a good quarterback in the NFL. This was absolutely vital to Fields' career, and this was something that even former Bears players were calling for as well, was a firing of Matt Nagy. So, good for them. This finally happened. They can move forward as an organization now, and there's pieces there. There's good offensive players. They have a good defense, all right? So, it's definitely not the worst head coaching vacancy in the league. They just need to, now since they're going to get a new GM, hopefully they can make the right choice here. But also, it was I think it's the current Bears VP that said out of the draft that Lamar Jackson was going to be a wide receiver. And he's the only guy with a football background that is going through these interviews for head coach and GM. So, not out of the fire yet, Bears fans. But for your sake and for Justin Fields' sake, I think you might get there soon. And another firing that was expected, and I am super, super happy about as a Broncos fan. Just real quick, for all my Broncos fans around there, I know I have a few of you guys that listen. Just round of applause. Round of applause. Let's go. They finally did the right thing. Shout out to George Patton because he's been rocking it his first year as GM, and he's only doing better things here. He's kicking Vic Fangio to the curb along with the worst offensive coordinator in the league in Pat Shurmur, along with the worst special teams coordinator in the league in Tom McMahon. It's so great to see them gone. I think Pat Shurmur was obviously the bigger one here. He was the biggest problem in Denver, along with McMahon. So I'm glad first and foremost, I'm glad those two pieces of crap are gone and not ruining the Broncos organization anymore. And I'm a little bit more lukewarm on how I'm feeling about Vic Fangio because he was not going to be a good head coach in the NFL. He was not a good head coach in the NFL. He had some accountability issues. He protected Pat Shurmur and McMahon way, way, way too often. You know, I really didn't like what I heard from him in the media. The only thing is, though, is that now Vic Fangio is going to be one of the most sought-after defensive coordinators in the league. And that's the tough part because perfect scenario what I would want for the Broncos is for them to fire everyone besides Mike Munchak of the offensive line coach just because he turned Garrett Bowles into a holding piece of crap into a Pro Bowler and one of the best tackles in the league. He was my most improved player from last year. So that is a miracle in its own, which should get you a job anywhere you want as an offensive line coach. All right, Mike Munchak is a legend for that. But I would have liked to keep Vic Fangio, but just as a defensive coordinator, that would have been the perfect situation. Of course, it was never going to happen because you're not going to take a head coach and demote them to defensive coordinator for the same team. That just doesn't happen in the league. That would have been perfect because he is still a great defensive coordinator. The Broncos they were missing 6 of their 11 starters, and they held the Chiefs to 22 points, 20 points in that 2-point conversion. That's pretty damn good. All right, they're rookies, especially Baron Browning, Caden Stearns. They played well this year. They're looking good. Patrick Surtain, let's not skip over Patrick Surtain, who's top 10 cornerback in the league, is a rookie. All right. Vic Fangio did really well with what he had defensively. Really good defensive coordinator, just not a head coach. But now the Broncos can hopefully find some. They're actually interviewing some solid candidates. Maybe the little Chiefs offensive coordinator action, Eric Bieniemy. That could be a great move for them. Or even Vic's next guy, because the most shocking news that we learned on Monday when it came to head coaching vacancies is that the Miami Dolphins decided to move on from Brian Flores, who got them 2 over 500 seasons in the last few seasons. And I think before that, they only had one in the last 10. So, you would think that alone would help you win the season. He wins 8 of his last 9 games, and he still gets fired. This is one that just baffles you, because he obviously, when you fire your coach, it's because you think you can do better. It's going to be really hard for the Dolphins to find someone who's going to be better than Brian Flores. All right, and really the rumor mills that's coming out of this, and the reasons to why this went down, is because he was a fan of Deshaun, or he wanted to bring in Deshaun Watson. But the owners don't like Tua, but the GM likes Tua, so the GM wanted to move on from Flores. Flores was the only reason why Watson would want to go to waive his no trade clause to go to Miami. And now you don't have that anymore. You're obviously not going to get Deshaun Watson. They're going to have to go all in on Tua, is what it feels like now. And luckily they've already confirmed it's not because they want to go after Jim Harbaugh, who should probably just stay in college football. I don't really see a need for him to come back to the league. Is a GM. I don't think I would want to bring him in. Not because he's a bad coach, just because there's maybe other candidates out there that are going to be better suited than Jim Harbaugh. Also, for Jim Harbaugh's sake, he's making a lot more money. What's an easier profession is being a college. At least arguable easier professions, being a head coach in college instead of the NFL. So he's doing good stuff there. He just keeps on rattling off 10-win seasons, so that's pretty damn good. But problem is, going back to my original statement, is that you fire a head coach because you think you do better. I just don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to bring in someone better. I really like what Brian Flores was doing there. And now he's at least one of the top head coaching candidates out there. This guy's going to land on his feet. He's going to look good. He's going to do well somewhere else. But Miami, what are you guys doing? Because I don't understand that one. Now, those are what have happened. The thing that surprised me the most is because, for the Giants, you have Gettleman retiring. You're going to get a new GM in there. But you're still wanting to keep around Joe Judge. That's another move where it doesn't make sense to me. I don't see any legitimate success in Joe Judge's future. Obviously, I mean, one of the main goals as a head coach is to get your team to the playoffs. The Giants will never make the playoffs underneath Joe Judge, and especially when you have a coach who is a coward and is playing not to lose and trying to play field position in a game that is essentially meaningless to your team, especially when you're on you're in your own 5 and it's 3rd and 9 and you run a QB frickin' sneak. What? That was the dumbest thing I saw all weekend. It's been one of the dumbest things I've seen all year from the football. Of course, it's not going to be the dumbest because we have exactly what happened to Antonio Brown last week. So that is going to top it. That is the dumbest thing to happen this season. And I don't know, maybe even this decade. Who knows? Might just put himself into contention for the Nene decade. All right. But Joe Judge, he needs to go. And then two other things here is like I said, Jim Harbaugh. I think he should just stay at the NFL. He's having success. He had success in the NFL. He took a team to the Super Bowl, all right, and got really close to winning. If it wasn't for what are we going to call it? When the lights went out after halftime and kind of messed everything up for the Niners there. Lightgate, right? I forget what they call it. I think that was back in 2012. So it's been a little bit since we talked about that stuff. That's when Joe Flacco got his Super Bowl. So elite. Thank you very much. And another thing that I think Pete Carroll is done in Seattle. He's I think he's the oldest coach in the league, at least one of them. So he might be just winding up with his career. There's nothing wrong with that one. It just seems like it feels the culture in Seattle is kind of going through a change, and there's no way that both Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll are both in Seattle next year. I just don't see that happening. One of the two are going to be out, and I think if one stays, it's Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson leaves, then they both leave. It seems like the Seahawks are going to have to go through a little bit more of a rebuild at this point, especially finishing last in their division. It was definitely not a successful year by any stretch of the means. They finished under 500 for the first time in Russell Wilson's career. I'm not sure they move away from Russell Wilson because that's stupid. One of the better quarterback. You don't move on from a top 10 quarterback, all right. And when going at his highest level, he's a top 5 quarterback. You don't just get rid of that, especially in a league that relies on quarterbacks. But it feels like they might be in the market for change when it comes to coaching and when it comes to a little bit of organization and culture. And so I would not be surprised if Pete Carroll has coached his last game in Seattle. And at least if that's the case, he did end up with a win against a good divisional rival. And I just got to point out that it feels like every single year, I cannot remember the last time the Seahawks and Cardinals played in Arizona and had a bad game. I just don't think that happens because their game in Week 18 was phenomenal. The last 2, 3, 4 seasons when they play in AZ, they've been some crazy games, all right? And, I mean, just that those two NFC West games in general going on at the same time, the Cardinals needed to win. They needed the Rams to lose for the Cardinals to take the division. And both games were just back and forth the entire time. That was really fun football to watch. Shout out to Red Zone. I will miss you tremendously, Scott Hansen, and I cannot wait to see you next season, all right, because you will be truly, truly missed. But let me know your thoughts on the whole coaching bonanza that's gone on so far since the regular season ended. Who made the best choice so far in terms of hiring or firing? And also, who has made the worst choice so far in terms of hiring or firing? But the last couple things for the week, of course, before we get to the name of the week, is going to be Ross's recap. I got you with my highlights of the week, my 3 favorite moments. Technically, this time it's 4, but 2 of them happened in the same game, so I'm going to count it. It's my show. I'll do what I want. But this is some of my favorite moments of the week. This is one that I want to highlight the most. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this stuff because kicking us off first is... Man, I was talking about Dan Campbell earlier. I was talking about those trick plays they ran, and these were just beautiful to watch.
Taking advantage. Go Raymond in the backfield. Look at this trickery. Kennedy got a man. Raymond wide open. Now it's a foot race on his way for the touchdown. First down. Oh, another trickery. This time it's back to God. Got a man. It's caught by Wright. Racing to the end zone. Diving.
It's always hard to imagine a team being successful with one of them in the game, let alone 2 of them in the game pretty close together. This was just phenomenal stuff, and honestly, I was going crazy when watching the Rams play the Packers this week, and that was just, man, I love watching that kind of football. I'm being honest, man. I'm a good smash mouth kind of guy, but I also love it when teams just play with 0 cares and play super loose, and they end up doing stuff like that. Now, one of my other favorite moments of the week was the clown out that those Jacksonville Jaguars fans had for the game against the Colts. I thought it was great. Obviously, maybe it's good luck. Maybe they should do that in starting next year because they got the win, their best win of the year, and Trevor Lawrence's best game ever. So who knows? Maybe they should break out the red noses some more. But this one goes out specifically to a fan that had the perfect answer in this little trivia show.
Is it A, China Cat, B, Brandon, C, Horse? D, Fireball.
But I still think that whatever, we all know that, when they do these games, it's like comes with some sort of reward if you get it right. She should be given. Now, no. Let's go tickets to the next game. I really thought that was phenomenal stuff from you Jacksonville Jaguars fans. Truly proud of the protest that you put on in Week 18. And now the last highlight for me of the week, if you guys have been watching me for a little bit, you know my love. I love two things tremendously in football. I love my offensive linemen. Let's go, boys. I will always be biased towards that position. And I also love the fullback position. Oh, damn. Give me a good fullback, and I will lose my mind. Give me a team that effectively uses the fullback position, and I will lose my mind. And one of those teams that does a great job is San Francisco 49ers, and one of the best fullbacks in the league, the best fullback in the league, is Kyle Yuscheck, number 44 out there in SF. He's a Pro Bowler again. He is the best in his position, and apparently he can do everything. That's what I love about fullbacks. If I can go back and play football again, I'd probably try to be a fullback. Maybe not be as fat, maybe be a little faster, so the coaches can actually put the ball in my hands. I'll make a play, a couple tutters, a game. But they're versatile. All right, they block. They go out in the flats to receive passes. They go out on special teams often. They can run the ball in short yard situations or on trick plays. Or in the case where if you're missing your punter in this game, and for the Niners, the punter is typically the holders for field goals and PATs. Kyle Juszczyk to the rescue, baby, because just take a look at this greatness from him.
Hit a couple nice passes to Ayuk. It's really good. Here's Juszczyk. He's the one who's, what can't he do? He might be the punter.
Kyle Juszczyk will hold with Wisnowski out. 42-yard try is nailed by 14. The snap, the hold. Kyle Juszczyk does literally everything.
I mean, you can't really do it much better than what Kyle did right there. You like the best holders in the game. Or watching film on Kyle's hold, the laces were out. It was perfect. It was on time. It was just everything about that. Kyle Juszczyk, you are my hero. I love you, and I need to find a way to get him on the show this offseason. That's my promise to you guys, is I'm going to do my damnedest to get him on here because he's just the greatest player. Love fullbacks. And if you don't like fullbacks, I truly think that there might be something wrong with you. No offense. Don't stop watching the show just because I called you out, please. In fact, watch the other ones. See if I can call you out more. Just watch everyone, guys. I really appreciate it. But the last thing we're going to go over this week is going to be none other than the Nene of the week. The last Nene of the regular season. And you bet that once the season wraps up, I will have a Nene of the year, and it is going to be the best. I am 100% sure on that, and I think there's really only two things it can be right now, and so it's not going to be too hard to choose. Luckily, my job isn't going. It's going to be fairly straightforward at the end of the year. But the Nene of the week this week was also an easy answer because it absolutely, positively has to be the Indianapolis Colts, because you get blown out by the worst team in the league at the worst time of the season, and your quarterback and running back had the worst performances of the season. I really don't think it could get that much worse than that, all right? You miss the playoffs because you lose to this horrible, horrible team. You get outplayed in every facet of the game, and now the only thing you have to show for your good season is sitting your ass at home on the couch. Oh, this one was just, it was funny, but then it got to the point where it wasn't even funny anymore, and then it was just kind of bad. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it for us on our last breakdown of the regular season. Thank you so much for sticking with us, whether you've been here since off-season, the preseason, mid-season, or until now and just joining us. Thank you so much, because your views, your love on the socials, your interactions, I truly appreciate every one of you, just because this show is made for you, for the people, by the people. Hell yeah. And we would be nothing without you guys and without your support. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts and reach out to us. Send us a line. What are your thoughts on the current coaching moves? what is your favorite part of the week as well? Because I really want to see. There's a lot that happened, and everyone has their own special answer as well. And Matt Stafford, is he going to be the downfall of the LA Rams this postseason? I think so. Let me know what you think. And speaking of support, there is a few people that have been supporting us the most, at least financially, and that is our amazing patrons. Of course, you can become a Patreon supporter by going to patreon.com/4thandlong and just get started at $1 a month. Those just starting at $1, it goes to $5.10. Those get you, of course, these go up, you get better stuff, but merch discounts, early access, behind the scenes content, and a bunch of other goodies. So you guys are the best people in the world, and I truly love each and every one of you. Shout out to Ray Rodriguez for all your card collecting needs. Go on over to Instagram and follow at the Big Bat Box. Also, get more from him since we got to bring him on. He's the card expert. He's the expert within the industry. So go ahead. We have 3 installments of it out now. We got a new one coming out on Friday of Card Stonks. All right. Go ahead and do your favor. thefourthlong.com. Shout out to Ryan Watson and Neil Wiley. Thank you guys truly so much for what's been an amazing regular season. Tune in later this week for our UFC Talk. UFC Talk is 73, and then as well as our 2022 playoff preview show. Go ahead, have yourselves a great day, do something well, and stay hydrated. We'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen.